Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our annual celebration of Black History. I am Councilwoman Cosby Curling from the 5th Ward, so I want to welcome everyone, and thank you so much for coming. I'd like to acknowledge our elected officials who are here to celebrate with us. We have in the room our Council President in the back, Council President George Alvarez.
Hello.
We have our Ninth Ward Councilman Armando Medina, who's here with us. If there's anybody else in the room. The mayor is coming. The mayor's coming, Mayor Armstead. You'll see him shortly, but I do want to get rolling because I know that a lot of people are here. We're prompt.
There he is.
There's the mayor. There's the mayor. We started doing this program 5 years ago, and every year it gets better and better. Every year we honor representatives from our community. We have acknowledged patent holders. We have acknowledged waymakers. The first African-American firefighter, we acknowledged him. We want to celebrate those who are here and who can actually appreciate the acknowledgement. So this year we have 2 special honorees that have been in our community and doing good works, and we'll talk more about each of them as we go on the program. But I'd like to call now Dr. Leo. The mayor's interrupting the program because he wants to say something. So I'm going to call the mayor up right now to say a few words.
Hello everybody, good evening, and thank you all for coming. A little under the weather. I don't mean to interrupt your program, but we have a young lady here who's from Linden, and she wrote a beautiful book. It's called Beautiful Brown Girl, and she's giving it away during the course of the evening. And I just wanted everybody to know that it's available. So if you have children here, or if you have children home, please take a copy, okay? That's all.
So I'm going to call Dr. Leo Blackshear to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. God of creation, we bow before you, full of wonder, praise, and admiration. Today we pause to remember our ancestors who fought and died for us and our children. In those days of trampled darkness, you were with us. You ushered in the marvelous light. Just before faith died, it became a note in the sidebar of our memory journey. We ask you to wash our tongues when we forget where we came from and are tempted to join the bandwagon of immigrant bashing. We ask you to forgive us when we look down on one another and forget to hold each other's hand. We give you thanks for the teachers and leaders and friends and families, even the enemies, who helped shape us. We give you thanks for the trials and tribulations that encouraged us to be humble and flexible. We give you thanks alone for the transformation. We come this evening to recommit ourselves to the struggle for justice and equality, not just for those we know, but for all who suffer oppression. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and that every man and every woman, and every boy and every girl, under the sound of my voice, say, amen. Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are now going to sing verse 1 of the Negro National Anthem, which is actually on the program. I am Going to acknowledge Mrs. Lucky, who is going to be here tonight to lead us, but she's not feeling well, and it is her birthday, so she gets a pass. But we do have Billy here, who is an awesome singer, who we know from Linden, and he's going to lead us in the singing of verse 1 of the Negro National Anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge our councilwoman from the 8th Ward who's here. There's seats up front also, for you guys that are standing in the back. Also want, okay. And our Councilman Monty Brooks from the 4th Ward, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis from the 8th Ward. We also have a past honoree who's here, Mr. Lee Roper. He was the first African-American firefighter, and he retired with the Linden Fire Department, and he's here to celebrate with us as he does every year. So thank you for coming. I want to introduce a young man to you who has volunteered with our program, and he is a senior in high school. And he wants to tell us, in his own words, what Black history means to him. So I'm going to ask Master Nigel Sidney to please come forward.
The original question that was posed to me was what Black History Month means to me. But before I can go into that, I must talk about what it used to mean to me, because I've grown older and things have changed. When I was younger, the month of February was a time in which I was told of the great deeds that African American people fought for in this country. Most far too often at the risk of their own lives and the others around them. These 4 weeks of February were a time for which I was reminded that I was equal to my different colored counterparts, even though I had no notion of what racism and discrimination was at the time. I looked up to those mahogany skin leaders, for they were proof that even with unfavorable odds, success was still possible and no goal was truly impossible. The dream that Dr. Martin Luther King dreamed of racial equality between both Black and white Americans can be referred to as a dream deferred. If you cannot remember hearing Langston Hughes' poem, A Dream Deferred, then let me refresh your memory. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Things have changed. Maurice, I have thought of Black History Month was America's time to bathe in remembrance of our struggle, After watching Morgan Freeman speak during an interview about the matter, I had to reconsider. After thinking about what he said, I came to the conclusion that he made sense. He stated that Black history is American history, and if you look at it from the Caucasian perspective, there is no White History Month, and you're just fine with that. So we haven't yet reached complete equality, as our history, or my history, is relegated to only 1 month out of 12. Today, Black History Month represents milestones for which the African American community has fought for. However, it should also serve as a reminder of the amount of change that we need to continue to make. Our external struggles have decreased in stature. However, the amount of internal problems we face is greater than ever. So it is a reminder of what we have been doing and need to continue to do. And as our 44th African American president has eloquently said, I've always believed that hope is that stubborn thing inside us that insists, despite all evidence to the contrary, that something better awaits us, so long as we have the courage to keep reaching, to keep working, and to keep fighting for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nigel. We also open this program to the children of Linden through all of the schools, and we offer them an opportunity with different themes every year to write an original poem or an original essay about what Black history means to them was the theme this year. We are pleased, I am pleased, to have another Linden High School student here who has written an original poem, and she's also an author of a book, and she's working on her second book. And I'd like to ask that Ms. Raquel Strickland please come up. And again, the theme every year changes, but the children put their heart and soul into their work. And I'm so excited and proud of them. You'll come forward and just read your poem.
The shades of black. We were once the invisible people, but now we are seen. The different shades of black, all distinctively different. We are the people, derived from the beautiful African cities, derived from the beautiful sparkling dirt. Family values, strength, and community. We hold these dearly. Our beautiful skin, made especially different for each and every one of us. A different shade and a different light hidden within us. We have our different past and a different history, but work towards a better future. No longer have we stayed under the influence of invisibility, and no longer have we hid under the darkness in hope of never being seen. We are beautiful, made especially different for our own distinctive task, and we stand unique together. Oh, the different shades of black and the beautiful minds within them.
I want to acknowledge a history maker in her own right who was actually in the building. We have our Chief Justice for the City of Linden in the back, Judge Cassandra Cordes McGee. She's the first woman of color seated on the bench, actually the first person of color seated on the bench in a permanent position. We can't acknowledge her because it's politics of the tradition, but we want to just acknowledge her publicly tonight, and she does a fine job. Now, we are going to acknowledge some of the students who participated in our contest, and we are going to recognize them. But first, we're going to call each of them so that we can hear their original works on what Black history means to them. I want to just say, I wasn't the judge, and our judge is actually a college student who is unavailable to come tonight, Nigel Thomas. She is studying literature and she wants to be an elementary school teacher. So she offered to be our judge and she did a wonderful job. She had lots of reading to do and she chose Michael Granello for first prize. Stand up.
to me. Today is the day we all sing in honor of Martin Luther King. Whenever people fight to be free, his name is remembered with dignity. He fought with love, not guns or darts. He changed people's minds and their hearts. But some people didn't like his words. He was taken away to a better world. Yes, his dreams lives on, that all can be free. When we knock down the walls between you and me, Martin Luther King's life did not last, but his dreams and his spirit are free at last.
You want to take, let them take the picture. Marion?
Everything is the same, from the bluest of skies to the blackest nights, or to the crisp white clouds. Everyone is the same, from woman to man, or young or old. They are all the same inside and out. From their skeletons, they are all the same. To their heads, to their toes, they were all created equal. To the darkest of hair, to the whitest grain of sand, they are all the same. No matter what difference, they were all created equal. If their favorite color was blue and another was red, they are still equal. To their mind or their body, all men and women are all equal. Rights is a thing, not some more. So why not give some rights and not some more?
Fake check doesn't get a pencil.
Black history means to me. Black history means a celebration of my culture. I learn new things in Black History Month, and that's a reason that I like it. I love learning about new people in Black history, and I also like learning more about the people I know. It's amazing how many people have been reported in Black history. People like Thurgood Marshall, Ruby Bridges, Jackie Robinson, and so many more. There are a lot of amazing achievements in Black history. Even little achievements make a difference. Madam C.J. Walker, the first African American to make hair products. Or someone like T.T. Sampson, the first to make a clothes shop. That's why I love Black history.
Before we get to our next award, I just want to say, did you hear Jada? She said just the little things make a difference. And that's why we do this every year. Because you don't have to be famous. Everyone doesn't have to know your name. But what you do because you do it, because you want to do it, because it's important, that's what Black history is all about. We're going to call up Zaire.
Is very important to me. Studying Black history helps me learn about many of my ancestors. It helps me have pride about myself. I have learned about Black people that were scientists, singers, and the Nobel Peace Prize winners. Some of their names were Imhotep, Julian Buford, and Ralph Lauren. Other Black ancestors I've learned about are Bessie Smith, Charles Jessup, and Sonny Terry. I like learning about Black people. Black History Month means a lot to me too. Dr. Carter G. Woodson first came up with the idea for celebrating Black History Month. There are so many things to learn about Black people during this time. You should learn more about Black people too. That's how I feel about Black history.
A wonderful job, and they did it from the heart. And I would also like to thank the teachers who helped. I do see a teacher here, one of my favorites, and I'm going to say that publicly, Mrs. Flaherty from School 4. So, just good job, everyone. We do have 2 additional presentations, and I would like to acknowledge, Nigel, come up. And also Raquel come up. I'd like to acknowledge them because they do volunteer in the community a lot. And this is just one of the events that they've always come to. And I hope that they will continue to come to. But Nigel, I know you're probably going off to college and you won't be here next year. But we appreciate you for everything that you do. And this is just a little certificate to show our appreciation. Doing in the community and the good work. And the last acknowledgement is a certificate of appreciation that we're going to present to Nyjah Thomas for her participation. Again, she's a college student, so she's not here to receive it. So if her mother could come forward, I'll give it to her because she did a lot of work for us, judging all of the essays and all of the poems. So we're going to present to her mother on behalf of Nyjah Thomas. If you guys look in the back of the room, we have See and Learn, who is here, and what she's doing is what she always does. She promotes literacy. This young lady goes to a lot of events in our county. She actually goes throughout the state, and she gives books away for free. So before you leave, stop by her table and see if anything interests you. But she is there, and I'm going to invite her up to say a few words about what she does. And she does it all for free. So, Mrs. Strickland, would you come forward?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Literacy matters. It matters in every part of our lives. From driving a car to going to school, doing your studies, it really matters. So I just first wanted to acknowledge the mayor, the council, all the elected officials that are here, and also the councilwoman who pretty much puts this on every year, these cultural events, to celebrate Black history and Spanish heritage and Haitian heritage and Polish activities and all the other cultures that are in our city. Ever since she was elected, she's always made note of all of the melting pot of Linden. So let's just give everyone, our artists here, that in the poems that they created out of their minds. It used to be a time when it was against the law for African-American person to sit down and write something. Back in the 1800s, they were locked up, they were tortured, they were murdered. But now we live in a time where we can come and we can celebrate literacy and Black history, and we just want to give them a hand for the good work that they did. The books are free. We're going to ask for you to grab one so everyone can have one. books written by African Americans as well as other cultures as well. So we have a card back there that you can grab from us if you need more books in your library at home. We encourage you to start reading books if you're not already. And if you can afford to build a library in your house, reach out to us. We have tons of books for you, and we'll come over and set you up a little home library. And of course, there's the Linden Library in our city that everyone has access to. I suggest you go get a library card and frequent the library and just incorporate this every month. Not just Black history, but let literacy be a part of your own history. So that's all I wanted to say. My name is C. Strickland, Literacy Matters from CMR.
Thank you, Steve. And now to our honorees for this evening. I'm going to ask the mayor to come up. Our first honoree is Mrs. Loretta Jones. And Mrs. Jones is a member of the Fifth Ward community, and she and I met several years ago when she invited me to a program that she actually was coordinating at the Housing Authority. Mrs. Jones has a rich history in the community, and what she's done is what Jada was saying, the little things. You can impact someone's life by just saying a few words to them. And a lot of times people don't like the truth. But Mrs. Jones is going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. Just so that we're clear, her background is organizer and trainer. So it takes a special person to want to give knowledge to other people. Mrs. Jones has acquired a lot of knowledge in her time. She's been in training, she's been an analyst, and what touches me the most is that she is involved in minority affairs in one of her past professions. It's important that we embrace our culture and our history, and she teaches us that when she puts on the Black History program that she does with the senior citizens. Additionally, she works with school-forced children, and what she tries to do is bridge the gap between the senior citizens and the younger children, because, and I'm just gonna say, a lot of times, the younger folks don't recognize the seniors for the wisdom and the knowledge that they have, and that's an awesome, awesome program, and it's being put on, and it's working. So I would like to just acknowledge her for all that she has done, and we're going to present her with a resolution. The mayor's going to look up his glasses, or maybe not, but he's going to read something. To read the resolution, we give him the hard work, so what?
Anyway, like Councilwoman Crosby Hurley mentioned, Mrs. Jones is an activist. I commend her to this very day. She's still organizing and doing what's right, and especially when it comes to making people aware of our culture and the importance that we play in this country. So, Mrs. Jones, thank you so much. I'm going to read this resolution. This is a resolution declaring the month of February 2015 as Black History Month and recognizing the accomplishments of Loretta Jones. Whereas the history of our nation and state is inextricably linked to the heritage of our country's Black Americans, and whereas the history of Black Americans is the story of extraordinary individuals whose achievements have set example for citizens of all races who dedicated their lives to creating a nation where all people are created equal, and whereas Black History Month is a celebration of the community to remember all African Americans who made a great change in the life and outlook of all of our citizens, and whereas the history of New Jersey has been enriched by Black New Jerseyans whose achievements have set the highest standards for people of all races, and is also the story of countless nameless heroes. And whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter Woodson, an African American who completed his PhD from Harvard, started Negro History Week to focus people's attention and to bring their notice, to bring their notice to the role and contributions of African Americans in American history, which in 1976 was changed to a full month celebration as Black History Month. And whereas born as Reverend John Jones and Mr. Dice Dixon, Loretta Jones, a Linden resident, is one such individual who has risen from humble beginnings to that of an outstanding community activist. And whereas Loretta Jones was married to the late Frank Gordon Sr. and the late Sidney Jones, she has 3 children, Mrs. Karen Cruz, Frank Gordon Jr., and Carl Jones, 12 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren. Whereas her commitment to giving back to her community began with her career as a community organizer for the CAFEO and the Rutgers ALCIO, then as a member, co-trainer for Scientific Resources and Company. She worked as a research analyst at the Harlem YMCA, teacher director at the Eport Adult Learning Center, and as a New Jersey import trainee at the Supermarkets General Corporation. And whereas Loretta Jones served as a member of the Union County Urban League and United Way Board of Directors, and also served as a secretary of the Supermarkets General Corporation Committee. And whereas Loretta Jones is well known in the city of Linden as a community activist, organizer of Black History programs, monthly birthday celebrations for Linden senior housing residents, and activity coordinator for the Guys and Girls Senior Steppers, and now therefore it be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden do hereby acknowledge the accomplishments of Loretta Jones and urge all the citizens of the City of Linden to reflect upon the many contributions that she and many other Black Americans have made to the city, state, and nation, and to participate in the activities and programs that are held in observance of Black History Month. And be it further resolved that the Mayor and the Council of the City of Linden pay tribute and acknowledge the bravery, sacrifices, accomplishments of Black Americans by declaring the month of February 2015 Black History Month. And be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the minutes of the City Council of Linden of New Jersey, and a copy thereof be appropriately presented to Loretta Jones in recognition of pro go.
I'm going to ask Mr. Ronald Richardson to step forward. Ronald Richardson, come forward.
Good evening. Where do I begin? Loretta Jones and I worked together at Supermarkets General for about 17 years. I was there. And because of her, a lot of folks that you know, and even myself, in the 70s, Loretta was the innovator. She broke the ice for a lot of people. She stepped on a lot of toes. She wasn't scared of white folk, black folks, she wasn't scared of nobody. And she would tell you, if you want something, you gotta come up front and get it. And I came into the organization as a laborer in the warehouse, and from Loretta's guidance and leadership and constantly working together, I ended up as one of the executives, and we formed a group in Pathmark at that time, and Loretta was a spearhead. And she would tell people in the street, if you needed something, you can get it, but if you don't do what I tell you to do, we're not gonna back you up. And don't you ever go apply for a job and embarrass me. She would tell you that. And I ended up as an employment coordinator. Loretta and I became EEO coordinators, and she was very well known by everybody. Everyone feared Loretta Jones. They actually feared her, but they respect her because she didn't take no stuff. And to this very day, we talk about her. Everyone that I know talks about her. I met a gentleman about a year ago. I didn't know who he was, and he says, "Don't you remember me?" I said, "No." He said, "Loretta Jones told me to come and see you, and you hired me, and I worked 30 years and retired from that company because of you and Loretta Jones." So those are the things that she did. And I commend her, and I'm just glad that's why I'm here tonight, to celebrate this for Loretta. Loretta, God bless you.
We're going to call up Debbie to say a couple of words.
This certainly is a surprise. I was not expecting to have to say anything. I was just coming to be supportive of my big sister. You know, they call me Little Loretta because I have the same fight that she has, you know, and it's scary, you know, when you are a person who believes in what's right and what's righteous, and you will stand steadfast for your principles. This is what Loretta taught me. You know, I've gotten myself in trouble listening to her. But she is always about what's right and righteous, you know, and I'm glad to be here tonight, to stand here with her. I come out on Tuesday nights, you know, and she is the coordinator for my line dance ministry. She can't dance anymore, but she can move, you know, so she gets involved and is a big part of exercise and just doing good things for the community. You know, she looks after the least of these, my brethren, which is what the Bible teaches us to do. And people will look at her and think that she's disabled because she's in a wheelchair. But watch out if she gets upset about something that you're doing, because she will straighten it out. Congratulations, Red.
So now you will remember her name, Loretta Jones, right? Congratulations, and thank you so much for all that you do. I'm going to ask a good friend, Mrs. Jones, to come up and say a few words. Mrs. Ferguson.
This is totally unexpected, okay? You threw me a lot. Loretta has been one of our residents at Moreski Towers, who a lot of people fear. When she wants something, she goes after it and she gets it. She doesn't care who gets in her way. She'll manage to get around them. In the end, she'll end up winning them over. When she first came to the Housing Authority, she and I butted heads. We didn't understand each other. Got to the point where Loretta prays for my family and their illnesses. I pray for her family and their illnesses and her. We are blood sisters, as far as I'm concerned. She has been wonderful. She's had a wonderful effect on this building, as some of our residents who are here tonight to honor her will tell you. I don't know how she does it. She's amazing. You know, the plate that says amazing woman, that speaks everything about Loretta. And so Loretta, tonight, I say God bless you, I love you, and thank you for being Loretta. Don't ever change.
And you're going to hear from Mrs. Jones right now.
just got fired.
Like I always say, if you give me a microphone, and I may say something to offend you, but if I do, that's your problem you deal with. I'd like to acknowledge the mayor, the first black mayor of Linden. I'm sure it's something that most of us thought would never happen. Congratulations. And you're invited to our program Saturday just because you're the mayor. And our first black councilwoman, acknowledging her. My friend, Mr. Ferguson, like she said, we had a time. We were working for the same thing. We were going down different streets, but we met up at the same point. And we're the best of friends. I love Ann. My children, my family, stand up. Who's here? Mother and father taught us was to be supportive of each other. And we support each other in everything that we do. We find a way around the things that we can't do and do them anyhow. You know, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about Supermarkets General Corporation, where I spent 20 years. When I went there, I was hired as the coordinator of the M4 program. It was a manpower training program. And I was hired in the Human Resources Department. And I was disappointed. My first interview, George Lieberberg interviewed me. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. And when I thought the interview was finished, I got up. And he said, we're not finished yet. So I sat back down. So he wanted to know all about my family. So I was trying to figure out why he wanted to know about my family. But my family wasn't coming to work there. I sat back down and I told him about my family. So after he got finished learning about my family, he said, okay. He said, thank you, we're finished. So I said, no, we're not finished yet. I want to know about your family. So when I found out, I said, I want to know about his family. So I said, now we're finished. So then they had an EEO committee. And the vice president of labor relations, his name was Leon. And everybody was afraid of Leon, and I didn't know why. I had never met him. I just heard about him. So I was invited to go to a meeting with him where I was introduced. And I sat and I listened at the conversation. They had a black vice president of gas stations. And they had him to talk because they were impressing me on how liberal they were. So he talked about the company and, you know, when you're black, you can be anything you want to be when you're here. When you're working here, or you can just do anything. So I was listening to him and I was getting angry because I knew he was lying. Okay, he had just gotten a job. I knew he was lying. And everybody was just gloating. So at the end of the meeting, Leon asked my boss, his name was Jimbo, and he was black, asked him to introduce me. So Leon and said, would you like to have something to say? I said, yes, I would. And I did that famous speech. Generally, when people ask me to have something to speak, they regret it. If I say something to offend you, that's your problem and not mine. You have to deal with it as best you can. I didn't know Leon. I didn't know who Leon was. So I said, you know, I sat here and I listened and I watched and I heard everything that everybody said. I said there were some things that happened here that bothered me. I could see people beginning to get a little uneasy. I said, you, sir, I said, you bothered me. I'm talking to Leon, but I didn't know who he was. I said, every time a black person made a remark, you gave them a patronizing pat on the back, as if to say that you don't say anything useful much, so therefore I have to go out of my way to acknowledge you. I said, that bothered me. I said, secondly, I said, before I came to work here, I didn't see anybody who looks like me working in the stores. I said, and all of a sudden I saw people who looked like me working in the stores, and I was happy. I said, but I didn't know that they weren't regular employees and that they were being paid by the Labor Department and the training program. I said, that saddens me. I could see people getting uneasy. I said, also, I said, the ones who work in the stores, they're not in the bakery or deli or meat department. Also, I said, the health and beauty aids that we use are in the shoe polish aisle and not with the other health and beauty aids. Well, that was upsetting. One of the other vice presidents jumped up and he said, I said, you sir, I said, your attitude is not right. So the vice president jumped up, public affairs jumped up. You don't know, Leon. You don't speak to him like that. So, I always stand when I talk. So I said, Leon. I said, you Leon Strauss? Yes. I said, you Leon Strauss? I heard so much about. Yeah. I said, well, I don't take a word of it back. I'm sorry I didn't know who you were, but I don't take a word of you back. Next thing I knew, our health and beauty aids were where they were supposed to be, with health and beauty aids. Then we began to see blacks in the Appy department. Then we saw blacks in the meat department. Then we saw more blacks in the stores as cashiers. Then I began to point out other problems that I saw within the company. My motto was, if you don't have an invisible man who stands at the door where we spend, I don't want to see that invisible door where we work. If you don't have a limit on what we can spend, then I don't feel you should have a limit on what we could earn. And therefore, I will not be silent. I will speak my mind. Then I began to address other problems where there were departments that didn't have blacks in them in the company. I was in a training session, and the president had set the training program for the minorities, human relations training. And my supervisor came over and said he wanted to talk to me. And he told me about this woman that they had brought in that they were going to fire. And when I got home that night, I called her to tell her I was sorry. She said, "I'm sorry about what?" I said, "Dick said that they're terminating you, that they had a meeting with you." She said, "They didn't have a meeting with me." I said, "They didn't." She said, "No, I'll take care of that tomorrow morning." So when she got to work the next day to take care of that, they pretended, the vice president and my boss pretended that they didn't know anything about it, but she came and got me. So I said, "What do you mean you don't know anything about it?" I said, "Jack, did you send Dick over to tell me about Marie?" "I'm not gonna say I did, and I'm not gonna say I didn't." I said, "You know what? I can take both of you and put you in a paper bag and shake it up and say I want a man to fall out." Then guess what? Nothing would come out because the two of you together don't make one man. So then Marie took me and took me up the room. She said, "You know, Loretta, I was still fired up. I wrote a letter to the CEO, and I told him that the concerned minority want to have a meeting with him about the lack of upward mobility in the country." And I took it and I put it on his desk. I was fired up. Next morning he called me, and I went up to see him, and I told him we wanted to meet with him. He wanted to know how many people were in the organization. I said 200. At that point, the organization consisted of one person, it was me. But I hunted around with some people that I could trust, and we met with him. And out of that meeting, we formed a committee of 10, which Ron was one. From the 10 people, we got 2 black vice presidents and past 5. We have the upward mobility of several others and a hiring of others. What I want to say to you is you got to know what you want. You can't be afraid. You have to step out.
Yes.
Your mayor stepped out. Your councilwoman stepped out. Okay? Whatever you want, you have to get out there and you have to get it. You can't be sitting around scared. Okay? Know you're right. Don't step out unless you know you're right. But if you know you're right, step out there and do what you have to do. Okay? And it's possible. But go with love in your heart. And don't be afraid. Okay? Because if you're right, guess who with you? God. And with God with you, you got to be a winner. So as I fight on, and I'll fight anybody about anything, as long as it's right. One of the white ladies in the company said, "Loretta, I thought you were only for black." She said, "But I see that you're for anybody because of some other incidents that happened. I don't care what color you are. I don't want to see nobody stepped on. But sometimes black is the only thing you can fight for in certain circumstances." I love my sisters and brothers. And I love my sisters and brothers of all colors. Thank you.
to acknowledge another one of my elected official colleagues, Councilman Mike Minichenko, who's here from the 7th Ward. Thanks for coming. The next honoree that we're going to acknowledge is the Linden resident, again from the 5th Ward. So, we're a little biased this year, sorry. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So we're going to do an acknowledgement for my neighbor, Mr. Gibbons, who has served his community well in his own right. And it was the mayor who'd like to say a few words before we bring in his family members. Having lived in Linden all his life, he knows Mr. Gibbons and his family. I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you. Let me tell you something. Gibbons family, the name Gibbons is like synonymous with Linden. They've been around for a long time. Mr. Gibbons, all I can say is that he's given of himself for our young men. He's encouraged so many of our young men to be involved in athletics. He's encouraged so many of our young men to be involved in boxing. You know, it's unfortunately, we don't have a boxing program in Linden, but we need one in Linden. If we have one in Linden, Mr. Gibbons is the one that should be running it and heading it up. And for years he had tried to have one in Linden, but unfortunately there was some people didn't see fit to allow that to happen. But his family's a great family. You know, I've known him all my lives. He's grown up with my father and his brothers and sisters, and his family and my family have always gotten along so well. And I'm just glad to be able to acknowledge him for all his efforts. And furthermore, he lives in the 4th Ward first. And whereas the history of Black Americans is the story of extraordinary individuals whose achievements have set examples for citizens of all races who dedicated their lives to creating a nation where all people are created equal, and whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter Woodson, an African American who completed his PhD from Harvard, started Negro History Week to focus people's attention and to bring their notice to the role and contributions of African Americans in America's history, which in 1976 was changed to a full month of celebration as Black History Month. And whereas Black History Month is a celebration of the community to remember all African Americans who made a great change in the life and outlook of all our citizens, and whereas the history of New Jersey has been enriched by Black New Jerseyans whose achievements have been set, who have set the highest standards for people of all races, and also the story of countless nameless heroes, and whereas Donald J. Gibbons Sr., a lifelong resident, graduated from Linden High School in 1952, where he excelled in track and field. Coming from a family of great athletes, Don fell in love with boxing, and in 1953, he won a New Jersey Boxing Golden Glove Championship. And whereas while serving as a military air police officer during the Korean War, he won the Florida AAU Featherweight Championship, was inducted into the New Jersey Boxing Hall of Fame in 2000, and the Linden Sports Hall of Fame in 2007. And whereas in 1955, Donald J. Gibbons Sr. married Geneva Davis, also a Linden resident, and had 3 children, Donald Jr., Derek, and Tyrone, and were married for 51 years until her passing in 2006. And whereas Donald J. Gibbons Sr. retired from Linden Exxon Technology Center as a senior research technician after 25 years of service, now therefore be resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Linden do hereby acknowledge the accomplishments of Donald J. Gibbons Sr. and urge all the citizens of Linden to reflect upon the many contributions many other Black Americans have made to this state and nation, and to participate in the activities and programs that are held in observance of Black History Month. And be it further resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Linden pay tribute and acknowledge the bravery, sacrifices, and accomplishments of Black Americans by declaring the month of February 2015 Black History Month, and be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the council of the city of Linden, and that a copy hereof be appropriately presented to Donald J. Gibbons Sr. in recognition of the foregoing. Thank you, Mr. Gibbons, for all you've done.
I'm gonna ask Ms. Taja Givens to come up and say a few words about her granddad.
Good evening, everybody. This is my grandfather, and okay. This is my grandfather, and in our family is everything. I mean, everything I've ever been through, he's always been there for me. We're a strong support system, and I couldn't be more pleased when my dad told me Grandpa's being honored on this day. I was like, I'll be there. So it's just like everything to me. A lot of people, like when I look at my grandfather, he's 80, okay? 80 never looked this good. And when I log on to Facebook or any social networks, the first thing is Donald Gibbons, like this photo. So I clicked and I see this, one of his females that he was training, and she posted a video of a talent show at her school, and she used boxing as her talent. When I looked, I was like, my man is moving. I mean, when I turned 80, I could only hope to have the agility that he has. And this past year, we celebrated his 80th birthday, and I know that me and my sister and my cousins, we look up to him, but when I got to the party and I saw everybody, there was people from every community, all ages, all walks of life, who all looked up to him and respected him. It was amazing. Like, it was such an amazing feeling. So I couldn't be more proud to be here tonight, and I love you, and congratulations.
Now you're going to hear from the man himself, Mr. Gibbons, and the mayor had said, if Linden has a boxing program, this is the man who's going to run it. And I'm just going to let you know that I'm championing recreation programs with some of my colleagues on council, and we're going to look and see what we can do to bring you back to Linden so that you can bring your program to the children here in our great city.
I want to thank everyone, Shauna, the mayor. I had the mayor when he was a little boy. I coached him in KL football, but I would be remiss. I also want to thank all the officials. And we go way, way back. She was secretary for the mayor of Royal, what, 40 years ago. Nice to see you. But like I said, I would be remiss if this is history, Black history in Linden. This is the 6 Givens brothers, my dad and his 5 brothers, that put Linden High School, Linden City on the map as far as sports goes. And I want to thank my family for being here, my friends. This is my father. This is my youngest son, Tyrone. He works for the city, but he looks after Dad. My brother Nate and my granddaughter. Stand up, baby. You, buddy. This is my daughter-in-law, my sweet daughter-in-law. Cousin Sheila. Mark Armstead is his brother, but he's been part of my family for ages. Him and my son Tyrone were just like brothers. I want to thank all y'all for being here. But as I stated before, I would be remiss if I didn't start off with Linden's history as far as Black history goes. This is it. It started with them. And with my dad and his brothers, I had articles here that I would just like to read little excerpts from. Now, this says the Givens clan back in Linden line. It says 4 members of the second generation ultimate athletic feast of the fathers, which kept the Tigers on top of the heap from 1925 to 1940. 15 years, Linden Givens brothers kept Linden in the spotlight. It says, it says, no family ever has meant as much to one school as has given to Linden. This is an article from the North Star Letter. And I don't know if many of you here remember the Olympic, I think it was the 1950 Summer Olympics. John Thomas, the gave the black power. Okay, when I was in high school, it was 5 of us giving boys during my time in school. And we protested long before those guys because things wasn't right. And my grandma always would have said, it's not, you know, things are not, they are black and white, not black, a gray area and white. They're black and white, right or wrong. So when we were in high school, it was my senior year, and like you stated before, I was never in football and in track. So we was part of this Linden Tigers football team. But we didn't agree with a lot of things the coaches were doing. All of us here knows that it was the old saying that black quarterbacks weren't intelligent enough to be quarterbacks in the National Football League. We won all the championships down in, it was junior high school then, now it's so middle school. Right on up to high school. One of my cousins was the quarterback. He could throw that football just almost the length of the football field. So we decided, the 3 of us, we made, you know, we were varsity players, we made the team, but we didn't like what was going on. So we decided to protest. So they played the national anthem, the first game of the season. After the national anthem, the 3 of us walked off. That was our protest. We walked off the field. We made the newspapers and everything, all that, but that was our way of protesting. Like, I am like that today. If the things ain't right, I'll let you know they're not right. Like I tell all my little kids, middle kids, big kids, take the word can't out of your vocabulary. There's no such thing as I can't. You try, you over and over and over, you'll get it, but don't ever use that word can't. Not when you come in to work with us at our gym. Take the word can't out. So anyhow, like I said, I appreciate this award to the utmost, and I want to thank Rashawn, the mayor, and anyone that had anything to do with it. Thank you. Let me say one more thing about myself. I'm a USA Boxing national boxing coach. I'm an international and national coach with USA Boxing. Those that don't know what USA Boxing is an Olympic sport. Just like USA basketball, USA soccer, USA Boxing is an Olympic sport. And that's what I do. Every day at the gym, this is a recreation, I teach kids how to box. We try to make young Olympians. And as of this day, we have one of our kids of our association, our New Jersey Association, USA Boxing. He should make the Olympic team. We have 2, but this one is, one kid he beat everybody in the world, all over the world. He beat everyone in the world to this point. He's only 17 years old, so he should make the Olympic team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. before we close, I want to remind everyone that we have See and Learn from Literacy Matters, and we're giving out books. We also have our very own little author here, and she's here, and you can meet her. She has her book, Miss Gina Smith. She's in the room. God bless you. And we also have the Yvonne McCalla Foundation, because it's a health fair coming up, and we're looking to offer free prostate screening and mammogram for anyone who qualifies. So please, if you want to get information for something that may qualify, stop at the table on your way out. But I'm going to ask Mr. Luciano to step forward and make his acknowledgement. And we thank our media man from Linden TV, Mr. Brad. Thanks for coming and reporting our event. And we want to thank our members of recreation and the members of the Fifth Ward community. And it's Mr. Luciano, who's our supervisor, who helped us to coordinate this for the past several years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Geez, Don, you broke the mic. Well, I don't really need the mic, but it's my pleasure to welcome you all here on behalf of Linden Recreation. It's especially, I'm especially happy of the two honorees that you selected. This lady to my right, I know her for over 38 years, and like Ron, I worked with her in Supermarkets General. And I have to tell you, she's absolutely the finest professional woman I've known throughout my professional career. She's outstanding in every way. And the one thing that was said before was true. If Loretta wants to tell you something, she's going to tell you something. I also want to congratulate Mr. Gibbons, who I had the honor of recognizing as a Hall of Famer in our Linden Athletic Hall of Fame, with which I'm chairman. And it was a pleasure to induct him into the Hall of Fame. He's the finest trainer in the state of New Jersey beyond anyone. Absolutely the finest. He's the top of his profession. And it was also a pleasure to invite, to induct your pop and his brothers in. The Gibbons family is synonymous with sports in the city of Linden. I want to thank the Linden Boxing Association for supplying the beautiful cakes and refreshments you're going to have. I also want to tell you that we have a message board out front with all of the flyers for the various programs that we have in Linden Recreation. Please avail yourselves to the flyers. Take one home. I know, let's see, you got one just for you. Because I didn't see you last year at the, because I know you like it, the magic show. All right? We've got all kinds of programs, folks. So please, go out, read the board. I know you brought your son to the magic show. He's had a great time. The magic show, by the way, is going to be on April the 8th. It's the week the schools are closed for vacation. And it's going to be at McManus Middle School. We have two shows, one at 10, one at 11:30. And everyone's welcome. Children are preschool through 5th grade. And moms and dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunts and uncles, bring everybody. We've got a big auditorium we want to fill. So anyway, thank you very much. This was a wonderful, wonderful program. And, I also, one other thing, the posters. Yes. The posters that are on the window. Those posters were done by middle school and high school students. Megan Martin, who works for us, coordinated that program. Those are the winning posters, and I have to tell you, you got to look at some of them. They're absolutely outstanding. They're the winners. And they all received their awards, and they were kind enough to let us have the posters tonight so that you can see them. They made me promise that I'll bring them back on Friday, so don't take them home. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming here. And to close with benediction, we ask that Dr. Leo Blackshear come forward.
Let us pray. May the peace of God, who raised Christ from the dead, may the blessings of God Almighty, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit rest upon you and dwell within you. Now unto him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory and great joy. To the only God, our Savior, through Jesus the Christ our Lord, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and forevermore. Go in peace, go in love, go in kindness, but most of all, go in Jesus the Christ. You are dismissed.